So where did you grow up? I couldn't really find much information on that. Was it Waco or?
Yep, I grew up just south of Waco in a little town called Robinson, but nobody ever knows where that is, so I just call it Waco.
So what's it like growing up in that part of the world for young and?
It's changed quite a bit, I think now, but I was raised predominantly with my grandparents, so um, we just had a little acre patch, and we had two pretty huge garden patches, one for vegetables and one for fruit, and we had chickens and pigeons all crammed into that 1 acre, and a shop that my grandfather worked in. And I, you know, my friends always would tease me about the kind of music we listened to, but that was the kind of music my grandparents listened to, classic country stuff. But I remember some friends of mine bringing me like a Bowling for Soup CD, like you need this,
Yeah,
you need to be part of the current day. But I mean, it was great. We lived. There was a lot of chaos. Don't get me wrong. That's a big reason that I was with my grandparents. But with them, I was very sheltered from that. And the little church we went to was a mile up the road, and my pastor taught me my first open chords because he used to be on the circuit. Um, and so he would teach me like Hank Williams senior songs before choir practice was there, and then we'd change and play Luke the Drifter songs because he understood duality.
yeah.
So yeah, it was a great experience. My grandparents were precious people. I The most technologically advanced thing in our house was the microwave, and we had a VCR. And I mean, I'm gonna age myself now, but I graduated in 2008, so it's not like there weren't more advanced things,
Right.
but they were just very old school is the cliche way to put it, but rooted in who they were, and they had the things they needed, and that was enough, you
I
know.
think one of the coolest things as an interviewer to learn about is the genesis of a creative person, right? And with you, it's so intriguing just because of how you ended up, right? Like just the fact that you're dropping a name like Luke the Drifter is why I love you so much. Like I
Oh,
love Luke the Drifter. I listen to him at least once a week, and there's going to be a whole bunch of people listening to this show who have no idea who we're talking about, probably. Luke the Drifter was an alias of Hank Williams, and just it was almost spoken word country music in a way, and just great stuff. But do you feel like? I mean, I think the answer to this question is probably pretty obvious. But do you feel like the being raised by a generation older than what should have happened really shaped who and what you became later on as a musician and an artist?
oh, sure. Yeah, I know that that's true because my grandparents were so. Not only were they older, but they were just so blatantly who they were.
Right.
Sometimes to a fault. I know that that's true, and I'm really grateful for it in hindsight. And I think I was grateful for it growing up also, but I was still just an asshole teenager sometimes. But I knew how I got to see them be so loving to everybody, and they just yeah, I know that influenced all of this, and too, my grandfather's favorite songwriter was his two favorite musicians were Tom T. Hall and Shoshka, and I'm
Wow.
sure that's not how you say that, but that's how I was raised to say it. And my grandmother, she loved Hank Thompson, and they were so staunch about that it was like early country music or no music at all, none of that rock and roll mess.
Yeah.
I had to get out of the house before I learned about who Towns, Van Zandt, and Guy Clark were. Like that was too risque for our house.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did you
so
ever not love it? Right, because when you're like inundated with one style of anything, you can either really gravitate towards it and love it all the time, or you kind of draw some kind of resentment towards it. Was there any of that for you?
no, I always loved it, and I think it was just because I was dealing with adult themes in my life, and those songs were adult themes, and I saw that made my grandparents proud. I think from being pretty, a kid, you want to make the people around you proud of you,
Sure.
and so yeah, they just always really encouraged it, and I loved it. I do have like a fondness for classic rock, though. Both of my parents really loved, that 80s, 70s, 80s, I guess even in the early 90s classic rock. And I did like to go visit them because we got to, it was a little harder and there was none of that in our house. But I don't remember a time that I ever resented it. Not the music piece anyway.
So what's that like when you're kind of getting out of that household and kind of running into different styles of music and being influenced by other stuff like the classic rock, like the punk rock that you were talking about a little bit earlier. Like, is this really eye opening to you, or like, because I do see some of those influences shine through too today for you.
It definitely is. And I think now, being in Nashville where I am now, it's like just 2.0. I mean, even people that are into country music, there's so much music that I don't know
Yeah.
because of, just the hyper focused piece of it. It started with the way I was raised, but then I just leaned in hard. But I love it. At first, I think, as humans, I think we're naturally afraid of the things that are different. So at first, I just blow it all off. It's like,
Hmm.
ugh. But man, the more I'm around it, I have appreciation for all of it. But yeah, wildly eye opening. From arrangement on down.